want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Here's some truth for you. Here's a fact. We are at war in this country. I'm going to go and I'm going to make this statement today. We're at war, folks. It's World War III on the international stage, and it is civil, partisan, and legal warfare right here in the United States of America. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, folks. This is Zero Dark 30. You're talking to me, John, and we're going to talk about the courts. What are courts? Well, I had this discussion with a friend the other day. A court, now we think of court and courtroom and lots of wood and some jackass in a black robe standing up there acting all pious like they never do anything wrong, even though we know better than that. Anyways, they sit in judgment of us because they're so fucking brilliant, right? Yeah, right. Anyways, courts. Well, the court used to be something that was held in the courtyard of the king. In other words, at the king's castle, there's the court. And that's where people would go to the king and say, hey, king, right? Except there was a judge that was placed in there, or a magistrate, if you will. Majesty, right? Your Majesty. Magistrate. Majesty is the king. Magistrate is the king's man, the king's servant, the king's voice, the king's will, the king's presence through someone else. The court was where you went to settle disputes. And there are two types of disputes. Disputes that you had with your neighbor, or a dispute the king had with you, and you are being charged with a crime. So there's civil and legal. Now, what does it have to do with shitting the fan? Everything, folks. Because if the court was intended to keep the peace, the court was intended to keep the peace, believe it or not. In order to keep war and fighting from happening, criminals had to be captured and justice had to be served, or the people would lose confidence in their government, i.e. the king. So the king had to keep law and order. If he's going to tax people and charge them a fee tax, he better provide some kind of damn service, right? So that was it. Keep the peace. Additionally, if you had a problem with your neighbor, rather than you guys out there putting swords through each other, rather than doing that, you go to the king. The king's magistrate listens to your case and makes a determination. Now, to make it even more fair, we have the jury. That's right, they brought in juries, and juries would say, oh, yeah, we agree with the king, or we agree with the defense or whatever. It's very rudimentary when it started, but that was the idea. If you did not have justice, civil justice and criminal justice, you had a loss of faith in the system, and chaos would ensue. Now it is 2024. How's your confidence level in the government doing its job? In providing justice? I don't know. Let's ask Hunter Biden. Let's ask Hillary Clinton. Let's ask Barack Obama. Let's ask Joe. Let's ask Nancy. Let's ask Paul Pelosi. Let's ask everyone. Let's ask the January 6th protesters how they think of justice. Let's ask President Trump about justice. Now, to keep the peace, we go through courts. If you don't have justice in the courts, you will not have peace. You will have chaos. You will have war. You will have violence. What are we getting to, folks? We're going that way. The leader of people in this country, want their freedoms, their liberties, and their property rights intact. That's what we want. So the person who's pushing for that is Trump. President Trump. And so what are they doing? They're going to war with Trump in the courts. In fact, the American lexicon has reintroduced the idea that courts are there and they're war related. And they're now calling it lawfare, kind of like warfare. That is, using the courts as a system to beat your enemies. Trump has been in trial for how many different cases since he was elected? Would you say 5, 10? Or how about hundreds of lawfare cases have been introduced against him? Now, once we started rolling back around to the election and Trump was no longer president, what have they tried doing? Smearing him, silencing him, financially punishing him, threatening to put him in jail, in prison, not to mention threatening his family. That's right. Leticia James. The state brought a civil suit against Trump. Civil? I thought the state did criminal law only. Well, because it wasn't a crime what he did. He supposedly overestimated the value of his property. Same thing the comedian and entertainer Jon Stewart did, as well as many, 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 many other people. So he supposedly overinvested his real estate in order to get a loan that he, by the way, paid back. Unlike a lot of students who don't want to pay back their loans, a lot of Democrats who don't want to pay their mortgages, a lot of renters who said, I don't want to pay my stuff, and so they gave, Anyways, Trump paid it back, plus interest. No one was hurt. No one was defrauded. No one was broken over it. No one lost. Nobody was hurt. Regardless, tried for fraud by the state, found guilty by a fucking turd of a judge, Erdogan. Fined him almost $500 million. It was a complete act of war. Down in the great state of Georgia, Fulton County, fat-ass Fannie Willis, who has been embezzling money, misappropriating money, ethically violating all the rules, screwing another woman's husband, right, and rewarding him financially, and then allowing him to reward her with gifts, misusing funds, everything. Now, that's fine. You go right ahead and do that. She doesn't get fined and thrown in jail. She's not being prosecuted. I don't fucking know why, other than it's lawfare. It is using the law and the courts to commit acts of violence against people, unless you submit to their authority. You see, that's always the deal with the judge and the judicial system, as well as law enforcement. If you don't submit to them, bad things happen. Now, I'm going to continue. All these cases against Trump are because they want to literally get to you. They want you, your property, your rights. They want you as a servant, as a slave. And they'll beat our leader. Let's call Trump the leader, because he is out in front. He's leading the pack and leading the fight. He's not leading us by the fucking nose. You need to be thinking and always aware of what they're up to. But that's it, folks. Now, if you don't obey them, you're an outlaw. You're an outlaw. You're outside the protection and realm of the law. That's going to happen a lot, folks. When you decide that you're not going to allow yourself to be arrested because you're not going to be taken in front of a judge who is just there to violate your rights and steal your money and destroy your life based on political decisions, that's where we're at, folks. See it for what it is. The court is not your friend. There is no justice. The battle within law enforcement, folks, police departments especially, sheriffs, not so much. State troopers, they have psychological problems. And federal agents, They have serious, serious psychological problems. That's where we're at. Right? When you look at a map and it says you are here, understand where we are at in this process. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi.